David Umahi and the Arise TV interviewer, because she was speaking, according to him, he said, "Sister, I know they hear phonetics." According to him, he felt that she was speaking phonetics, and she kept at it and said, "Sir, I'm sorry, I can't help the way I speak. This is the way I speak, but you have to answer my question." So, do people actually feel, what's the right word? I'm trying to manage my word now. Do people feel scared when they hear you talk? Like, okay, phonetics, okay, please just stay back, and then you're still talking culture.
Okay, so I'm one of those people that I believe when in Rome, behave like the Romans. I have been able to embrace the Yoruba accent, so I have Yoruba English. I speak Pidgin English.
You speak Pidgin English?
Yes, I do. I speak German too. I speak a bit of French. Even when I'm saying greeting an Igbo person, I can relate, and I'm trying to learn Hausa now that I'm in Abuja. I feel that we should be proud of our languages, our accents, and I have seen people trying to speak in an American accent and the English is really bad, and you're wondering, won't you be better off, you know? For example, one of the people that work for me, he I don't know, maybe he was trying to emulate me,
I guess.
So he would speak really, really awful English, and I said, why don't you just speak Yoruba? I speak Yoruba very well, so it's okay. Initially, I was trying to be nice. At some point, I tell him, stop with the emoji. Speak Yoruba. So Yoruba, let me hear you.
Now let's begin this conversation first taking a quote from John F. Kennedy, who once said, "If art is to nourish the roots of our culture, society must set the artist free to follow his vision wherever it takes him." Absolutely spot on. Okay, so now I will take my next one, and this one is from Articus, who once said, "When it comes to art, it is important not to hide the madness." Now let's see how this goes to relate to what we'll be discussing tonight. Very warm greetings and welcome to The Conversation. We are reaching you from Kaftan's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Annabelle Oji. Tonight we'll turn our attention to art and fashion. And my guest on the show today is Serrano Jenifer, who is an art and culture enthusiast. We'll be talking about art, culture, and why we should embrace our own local language, our culture. You keep hearing proudly Nigerian, but yet you still have people who would prefer to go buy an Italian shoe rather than buy the Abba-made shoe. Why so? Now, for the love of art, let's have this conversation with Jenifer. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being here.
Welcome. Okay, now let's talk about arts and culture. But we'll first of all start by breaking the ice. What exactly it is there? Why is it that you love, or why are you an enthusiast of arts and culture? Why not something else? Why not other kind of business? Why not politics or something else?
So I'd say this: art chooses you. It's not something you choose.
Oh,
most artists are born that way.
okay.
They usually a bit more eccentric, or they see things differently to other people. Because what is art? Art is just expression of human creativity. And everyone is creative in some way or the other. But the acceptable forms of art, you're usually born with a gift or a desire to see things differently to other people. So art chose me. I remember from kindergarten, I would sit in class and draw out ball gowns from my Cinderella stories. Because when we were little, we read Cinderella, Snow White, and they all those books. They always had these really pretty ball gowns, and I would scribble that. And I got into that pretty early. I think even before I could write properly, I could sketch dresses.
Okay.
And that's where my interest started from. So I loved dresses, ball gowns, special occasion wear, So that's how I got this interest into art. And then I had this really good ability to put colors together.
Oh, okay.
So I was very good at anything to do with my hands, anything to do with color, putting color together, putting mediums together. So art chose me. And why am I an art enthusiast is because most people who are not always make you, the artist, feel that you're weird or something is wrong with you. So I promote art, I encourage art, and I think if we allowed more artists to have expressions and help them guide the arts, it could actually be a major source of income. It's an entire economy on its own.
Right.
So that's my story in a nutshell.
Okay, so we'll definitely go back to the fact where you talked about art and tourism, especially in Nigeria, how we can make sure that we generate more revenue from that sector. But now let's still stay on art and culture. I hear you talk about the fact that you can put colors together. So if I tell you that I am an artist, either a makeup artist or I do paintings or drawings, but I don't know how to put colors together. I don't know how to manage color. That's the right word. Does that actually make me not one?
For you to be a good artist, you must be able to harmonize colors.
Okay.
There are colors that clash, there are colors that are conflicting, there are colors that complement each other. So if you're a makeup artist, you have to know how to put the colors together. If not, then you're not good at what you're doing. If you're a fashion designer and you're getting the colors wrong, you're not good at it. Sorry. You can't paint somebody's face. For example, you're a wall painter. That's also an art form. Or people who do interior decor. I've seen people who would have black curtains, white sofas, and brown wooden furniture. That is conflicting. So you must know how to marry colors. If not, forget it. Find something else to do. There are lots of people that are colorblind, and I'd always like to say, when you find people who are colorblind, they're usually either lawyers or they're accountants. Because they only know what's like that for your head. So you can't be an artist if you cannot understand how color works, the color spectrum. There are colors that go together and there are colors that just don't.
Okay. Right. All right. Now let's talk about arts, culture, language in Nigeria. Now you always hear people say, I love to patronize our local food or dresses. I prefer to do proudly. In fact, I'm proudly Nigerian. But then you bring, you go to a bar and then you buy one very nice looking footwear and then ask them, okay, I have this footwear for you. And the first thing they'll ask you, is it Italian made? But did you buy it from Paris? And then you just make the mistake of telling them, oh no, I bought it from a bar. And then that's where you now see the face of, oh, okay, no, I'm not interested. So why do we actually
do that? So I'll tell you, the first problem with most Africans is inferiority complex. Africans were conditioned to condemn everything that is theirs and believe everything the white man does is better. This plays out in everything. Maybe because I studied abroad, so I always tell people that the white man is not better than you. There's nothing that the white man has that you should emulate, or condemn yours for. So people feel that wearing locally made stuff is inferior to wearing something imported. I remember I was on a movie set. I do movies too when I have free time, and most of my costumes were Ankara and Ankara. Okay. So one guy came to one of the costumes, like, why do you always wear Ankara? Why can't you wear all these Turkish dresses? I said, but what's wrong with my dresses? My dresses are colorful. They're beautiful. They represent my brand, because then I was into fashion design. I said, so this is my brand. This is what I represent. And when I travel, I wear my Ankara dresses. I go through the airports in outfits like this, and all the airport attendants, even the immigration staff, are like, wow, you're a princess. Are you a queen? They appreciate me in my regalia with my headgear. Right. But Africans look down on their own thing. So it's not so much about the art and culture. It's more a mindset, inferiority mindset. Same way people would accept you better saying, hey, for apple than A for agbalumo.
Ah,
It's how they were conditioned.
right.
So it's something from the education system that and the general outlook where people believe what's from the white man above theirs. When I tell people that I don't take pills unless I'm about to die, and I would rather go for herbal concoction, like, I'm like, yes, because those pills are made from leaves, most of them taken from Africa and Asia.
Right.
But this is still the same thing. People believe everything from the white man is better. So shoes from the white man is better, clothes from the white man is better, even hair from the white man is better. Now, I know it's possible for someone to say, oh, you're advocating culture and you're wearing blonde. I'm an artist, and my hair is also an expression of how I feel. So my hairstyle ranges every day. Could be red, could be green, could be blue. Today is blonde, and that's what I feel like.
I like. All right, now still talking about the fact that why we do not appreciate our own culture and our own dressing. Now, I remember talking to, I think it was Mike Ozikome, SAN, and then he talked about the fact that if you look at the Mungo Park story, they tell you that that's all that argument at the time. But according to him, he said, it wasn't the white people that first of all discovered that it wasn't Mungo Park rather that first of all discovered the Niger Bridge. It was because we were living there. We in fact we own it, but we're not ready to appreciate it, to even sing our song or even talk about that story.
We're not telling our stories.
We're not telling our stories enough. But then, how do we now begin to tell our stories? If you'd say it's a mindset thing, it means it's been there over time. So how do we now reshape what has already happened, or what has been happening over time?
Okay, so my organization, the Unity Project Nigeria, we promote art. We promote Nigerian culture. And I always tell people art is in visuals, it's in performances, it's in things you can touch. So anything from hairdressing, fashion, drawing, singing, dancing, they're all expressions of our creativity, and they're indigenous to us. And we should embrace it. We should embrace our languages. We should embrace our local dialect. I am an advocate of my indigenous language.
Okay, we're going to get there.
Oh, yes. So I'm a Yoruba-Brazilian, and I always tell people, our phone is Jidide ati Shelogo de ati Asha Omo Yoruba. Did you hear that? So I'm about promote your identity, tell your own stories. And one of the things we've been advocating for is in schools, we should have more integration in our culture of vocation and a form of art, even from primary school, because it was from primary school I could draw. And if from primary school, the children had the option to make adire, learn how to do hair, learn how to maybe make pots or weaving crafts, things like that, it would help people to identify with their roots, because what we see projected on television is American culture, and then you find the younger Nigerians are pseudo-American. Our music now is pseudo-American, their dressing is pseudo-American, and so we're fast losing our indigenous identity. Right. And if we're not careful, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, our children will not even speak our languages. They will not identify with our food or our way of life. So we must tell our stories. We should, if you own a school or you have a tuition organization, you should promote that. If you have a television station, a radio station, you must have at least 1 or 2 indigenous programs every week or every day to show your culture, so that we're not a forgotten people. Think about the fact that if you're a student of the Bible, there were Israelites and they had these tribes. And today, the Israel of today is not the same thing as the Israel of the Bible, because they've totally lost their culture. If you go to Israel, you will be surprised. They're not those people we read about. They look more American than anything else. And so we, as Africans, as Nigerians, we still have our languages, we still have our food, we still have our clothing. And while we're embracing development, we should not lose sight of what is originally ours. It will be a huge travesty for the generations to come.
Okay, so now how do who are the people that needs to be on this round table making these discussions? Parents, governments, and all?
Government, number one, because government make policy.
Okay.
So we should advocate, say, in National Assembly, as the way they make all these orders, the new national anthem. They should also make an order. Schools should have one. There must be teaching of languages, Nigerian indigenous languages. At least one of the three main languages should be taught in school, mandatory.
Oh, mandatory.
It should be. Because when I went to school, I went to secondary school in England, and you have to, aside from English, which we have to do, you must speak an European language. So you either have French or you have Spanish or something, or German. Okay. So it is mandatory. So we should mandate that a Nigerian language is taught in every school. It doesn't matter the school.
And you can imagine, so I had a boy in there, you can imagine some schools would even penalize you for speaking. They'll tell you you're speaking vernacular.
And I think that is wrong. Why would you be so derogatory on your own language? You can say you're speaking your indigenous language. Why is my language vernacular? Why is English not vernacular? Okay, English was introduced to my forefathers. And okay, I went to school in England, so that's why it's my first language. But English should be the vernacular. It should be other language, my mother tongue. I should be proud of it. Look at nations like India. They are proud of their mother tongue. When they have conferences, even though Indians speak English, if you ever heard their presidential address, it's in Hindi. They can translate in English. That's on you. The French do speak French. The Germans speak German. So why should we not be proud of our language? It shouldn't be vernacular. So government have a responsibility to preserve our culture. I know that the current administration has, we have a current minister of arts and culture. I'm not sure they fully understand the work that they're supposed to do, or maybe their focus is more on creating an economy for things like Nollywood and the music industry, but preserving our culture, preserving our traditional institution, preserving our traditional art forms, like how we make, household things like mats, fans, all those pots, pipes, musical instruments. Those are things that should also be introduced into the school systems. Owners of schools should think about this. Parents also have a duty at home to teach their children their languages, teach their children about food, teach their children about their culture, how they were raised, so we do not lose this. So everyone should have a seat at this table.
Okay, so now talking about the government, because I recall when they were going, that's this current government administration, they were going for a particular conference. I can't remember if it was the G Summit conference or so, and then the delegates that all traveled, you find them wearing the English wear.
They all wore suits,
and then you have their mufflers and their face caps and everything. And I was wondering, if you go to such places, you're supposed to be wearing a dire, you're supposed to be putting on your native, your kaftan, your bubu, or your what is going on here?
Again, it's inferiority complex.
But they should know better. Do they have inferiority complex? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because they were raised wrong. They were raised wrong. I saw, apart from Mr. President, and I think Senate President, Senate President wears his agbada everywhere. He might wear a muffler on him. Mr. President, I have to say, anywhere he goes across the world, he wears his kaftan.
His kaftan
and his insignia cap and he represents, because I think it was the G28, all the other African heads of state had their suits on, and he was the only one not wearing a suit, and I applauded him for that. So we should project more positive culture in terms of our dressing when we're outside and even inside. And I always tell people, unless you're a lawyer or you're a banker, I don't see why you should wear suits in Nigeria. The weather is not even friendly. The weather doesn't encourage it. So wear this. You get more air. It's better for you. Nothing tight on you. I mean, so we should embrace that more. Government officials should represent Africa more. Look at this woman, Ngozi
Okonjo-Iweala.
Anywhere she is, she's in Ankara with her finger on her head. Anywhere she is, that is a woman who knows who she is. She is proud of her culture, and more people should be like that.
So then that means we should be expecting like the Minister of Arts and Culture to always represent by wearing.
She should be wearing Ankara and Ajie. She should make a habit of it.
All right. We're going to quick break. When we return, we'll continue this conversation with Serrano Jenifer, who is an art and culture enthusiast. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. If you just joined us, this is The Conversation, reaching you from Kaftan's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. If you just joined us, you've actually missed out on the first part of the show, but then you can still join in the second part, as my guest on the show today is still Jenifer Serrano, who is an art and culture enthusiast. Before we went on that break, we've actually touched on, in fact, we've shaked plenty tables. But now let's talk about you. Let's talk about you. I read a particular article some time ago an interview that you had with a media station, and then you said, and quote, "We should embrace accents, indigenous languages." Okay, tell us, because now, you know what came to my mind when the first time, immediately I saw that headline. What happened between the Minister of Works and Housing, that's David Umahi, and the Arise TV interviewer, because she was speaking, according to him, he said, "Sister, I know they hear phonetics." According to him, he felt that she was speaking phonetics, and she kept at it and said, "Sir, I'm sorry, I can't help the way I speak. This is the way I speak, but you have to answer my question." So, do people actually feel, what's the right word? I'm trying to manage my word now. Do people feel scared when they hear you talk? Like, okay, phonetics, okay, please just stay back, and then you're still talking culture.
Okay, so I'm one of those people that I believe when in Rome, behave like the Romans. And I have an advantage of language.
Okay.
So I'd been in secondary school, college, university, in the UK. So naturally, I'm conditioned to a British accent.
Okay.
However, since coming to Nigeria, I've been able to embrace the Yoruba accent. So I have Yoruba English. I speak Pidgin English.
You speak Pidgin English?
Yes, I do. I speak German too. I speak a bit of French. Even when I'm greeting an Igbo person, I can relate, and I'm trying to learn Hausa now that I'm in Abuja. And I think to be an effective communicator, you have to make sure the person you're speaking to understands you.
Right.
So if it means conditioning your accent to accommodate their hearing, you should.
Okay.
So, but I do know there are people who have never left this country, but maybe by watching TV or something, they condition themselves to speak in a certain way. I feel that we should be proud of our languages, our accents. And I have seen people trying to speak in an American accent and their English is really bad. And you're wondering, won't you be better off, you know? For example, one of the people that work for me, he I don't know, maybe he was trying to emulate me,
I guess.
So he would speak really, really awful English. And I said, why don't you just speak Yoruba? I speak Yoruba very well, so it's okay. Initially, I was trying to be nice. At some point, I tell him, stop with the emoji. Speak Yoruba. So Yoruba, let me hear you. So it's about your identity. Be proud of who you are. Okay. So if you have an Ibadan accent, by all means. If you have an Ilorin Kwara accent, by all means, just be yourself. Make sure you can communicate with other people. I think that's what matters. Okay,
so now because you talked about conditioning yourself, how do you actually do that? I hear some people say, I don't have ears for language. I can stay in Hausa land for like forever, but still don't even understand when they say Bani or anything at all.
Okay, it's about trying to help other people communicate better with you. I remember when I first moved to Switzerland, and in the first 3 days I said, I can't live like this. People are speaking to me. I don't know what they're saying. I must learn. So I went out, I got a book, I got a CD, and I made a conscious effort to learn.
Okay.
Now, the language I'm learning now is Hausa, so I can say Inakwana, Lafialau. I've started learning because I want to relate to people around me. So I think there's no one who cannot learn anything, because the language you speak now, you learned it. Every skill you have now, none of it you were born with. You can write 1 to 10. You learned it. So it's about, being conscious and intentional. Do you want to communicate better with your environment? So I can't see how I would live in the northern part of Nigeria for the next 3 years and not be able to communicate. What if I got lost and no one could speak English and I'm stuck in some place, there's no GPRS working, and I need to communicate with those people to get out of there? So think about it as a survival skill. Being able to communicate with your immediate environment is a survival skill. So you must learn it. You must.
All right. So because you talked about what if I get lost, something just came to my mind. I'm going to ask you, do you think that we are actually doing better, or we should refer back to those early years or those years when you had tribal marks? You had people who just like everywhere.
Okay. So tribal marks, I think it's a mutilation.
Is that what you think?
Yes.
Because some will also tell you that that's a way to know when people get lost, so that at least if I see an Ibadan mark, I can recognize it. If I see an Igbo mark, I'm quick to recognize one.
I'm sorry. As I am against genital mutilation, I'm against facial mutilation. I think your identity is your culture. So when you hear somebody from Ibadan speak Yoruba, you will know, this is Yoruba from Ibadan, this is Yoruba from Ijebu, this is Yoruba from Osun State. That is enough identity. And when you teach your children, raise them to know their family, their lineage, their oriki, which is, your ancestral chants, that's enough. I don't see why you have to mutilate people's faces. So I disagree with that.
All right, talk to us about your own culture. You said you're from the Yoruba-Brazilian, is that?
Yes, so we're from the Brazilian quarters in Lagos. There's some ambiguity about our heritage. So some people say we're returned slaves from Brazil. And some people say that we're Brazilians that came to Nigeria. So which is first? Is it Brazilians that came to Nigeria, or the slaves from Brazil that came to Nigeria, or the slaves from Nigeria that moved to Brazil? So there is some level of ambiguity, but we that have settled in Lagos, we're called the Yoruba-Brazilian. We have a whole community. We have our own foods. We have our own festival that we do on the Lagos Island annually, December period, where we still celebrate our Yoruba culture. And if anyone knows about Brazil, Brazil is very particular about Yoruba culture. They celebrate all the gods. We celebrate Oduduwa, Eshu, and all the like. Most of Latin America still embrace this deep Yoruba culture. So we're those people, and I am proud of my heritage. Although most Nigerians will say, "Oh, you're not Nigerian. Your surname, where's that from?" And I'm always trying to educate them that I am a Nigerian. Now, these days, every tribe, there's been some mixes here and there, but that still doesn't take away the fact that I am Nigerian and I am Yoruba. I may be Yoruba-Brazilian, but I am Yoruba predominantly.
Okay, so if you go to Lagos, they'll tell you that some parts are they're from the Lagosians from Idumota, Eko, that's the Eko Gongon people, or they tell you that these are people are from Ekpe and all of that. So
they're from Badagry.
So which of them do you belong?
Okay, so it is said that it's my ancestors that founded Lagos, because there's a place in Brazil called Lagos. Okay. And so when my people came, my ancestors came and they saw the landmark of Lagos surrounded by water. And that's how Lagos got its name. So I know Edo people like to claim that they formed Eko, but I always say, what name does Lagos bear? It's called Lagos State. So we own Lagos. So we founded Lagos. You may have been there before us, but we brought enlightenment to Lagos. Hence, it's called Lagos State, and it is a center of excellence. We are on the Lagos Island side. So the Epe people are people that came from Ogun State, Ijebu origin and co. And then we have the Badagry people on the other side. So, but we're the islanders when they say people from Lagos Island, Isale, Kogongo, this is us.
All right, now talk to us about your culture, the food, and the festival, sporting activities, and even also, because I know that's like so many questions I'm going to ask you. Putting them
all your questions.
All right, so the culture, the language, the food, the festivity, and if you have someone who is planning to get married from your tribe, what exactly is the first thing that the person would, okay, let me hold on to this one first.
Okay, so in terms of food, because we've been in Nigeria for decades, centuries almost, we eat everything that Nigerians eat. We just have just a few delicacies like what they call frio or something, which is some kind of fried beans. But aside from that, we eat everything.
Okay.
Yoruba people eat. We eat everything islanders eat. And islanders, we like egusi cooked with vegetable oil and fresh fish. We like seafood. We like our rice.
Pounded yam and even amala.
No, pounded yam is actually more from Osun, Ondo up.
Oh.
Yes. From Oyo State down, pounded yam is not our food.
Oh, really?
It's not.
Okay. How about amala?
Amala is Oyo State, but it is my favorite food. So I had the privilege of staying with my grandmother in Ibadan. So hence amala is my favorite food. Amala and ewedu. But it's not indigenous Lagos food. So we do more fish, seafood, fried fish with gari, tapioca.
Right.
Those are indigenous foods. Our festival is every December, but now because of the various mixes, there are many festivals in Lagos Island, so it's not just one. But before it used to be called the Fanti Carnival, and where we do have the carnival queens and various families or clans bring themselves together in floats and just do a good day of dressing up and moving around in various costumes. Maybe smaller than the Calabar Festival, but sort of that sort of thing. Because Brazil is actually the home of carnivals. The Rio Carnival was the first and the largest carnival in the world. And so that culture, we still have it, which is a lot of music, a lot of dancing, a lot of beautiful girls. People would always tell you, if you go to Brazil, the Rio Carnival, you find the most beautiful, most exotic women in the world there. So we still bring that.
Okay.
But because there's been a lot of intermarrying over time, and then also in the Lagos Island, we have the Portuguese culture. So the Portuguese and the Brazilian and the Ekpe people, there's been a lot of fusion in our culture. So we just embrace, the culture has morphed.
Okay.
So there is no set Yoruba-Brazilian culture now. It's just there's a Lagos Island culture.
And
It's a local culture.
Eyo is not part of it?
No, Eyo didn't come from us. But as I said, we have all intermarried. So there's Lagos Island culture. So the Eyo is part of it. Everything that the Ekpe people are brought in, the Brazilians are brought in, the Portuguese are brought in, we're all now islanders. So there's Isaleko. Now we're a whole tribe on our own.
Okay. So talk to us about the
marriage,
festivity and marriage.
Okay, so marriage it's like every Yoruba family, there has to be the knocking. So we don't.
What do you call the knocking?
Okay, so it's very rare to find families introducing anybody. What you find is, I like you, you like me, so you come meet my parents. So the man's family would come to meet the woman's family with gifts. Not a lot. They're just some symbolic. There has to be alcohol. There has to be bitter cola. There has to be cola nut, alligator pepper, sugar, honey, salt. And then you come to that family.
And dowry.
There has to be alcohol involved. So, okay, dowry is, in my culture, it's representational. So it's not like, go bring 1 million naira. No.
Okay.
So they would say, bring an amount. It doesn't matter, just a token to say you exchange something. So my grandfather said it used to be 2 Owueyo carries.
Okay.
But now, when we had Naira notes, it would be 2 Naira. But now they know Naira notes, so it could be something like maybe 2 500 Nairas or 2 1,000 Naira notes. Just a token. We're not.
Okay.
They say we don't sell our children, we don't sell our daughters. Just something to show appreciation. So you'd come for the knocking. The families would speak. They would have the interview questions. And they always like to know, is there a history of madness in your family? Is there a history of epilepsy in your family? That sort of thing. And then we set a date for the actual festivities where we have the traditional, which I call the actual marriage. Some people say we must have traditional and white wedding. See, that's also inferiority complex, because who decided white wedding? I think it was Queen Victoria who wore a white dress. So
are you against white wedding?
I am saying that marriages is all about families agreeing. This official seeing too. It's not a must. You must go to church or mosque for that matter. So far, the families involved have recognized we are handing over our daughter to you. Your son is taking care of our daughter. Our daughter is going to be a member of your family. That's all that is required. And if you look in all the holy books, that was the wedding. Somebody went to somebody's family, presented a token, and a girl was handed over. That's what marriage is.
So it's not about the glitz and the glam.
So the white wedding, well, if you have money, go ahead and do it. But I'm just saying that it really is the family's exchanging of gifts, that acknowledgement, that is the wedding. There's no such thing as white wedding. Say you want to spend money.
All right. So how would you actually love to see, okay, let me remove the white weddings. How would you actually love to see weddings and you have couple where native, either wear their Ankara or wear their Isiagu or wear their Bubu or their own traditional
I have seen quite a lot of non-conventional weddings, and when I got married, I also didn't have a conventional wedding dress.
Okay.
I wore grey. Yes, I wore
was it a personal decision?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
I wore a grey dress. It was what I felt like, and I think people should move away from stereotypes. You should just be yourself. So if you want to wear black on your wedding day, do it. If you want to wear Ankara, do it. I have seen even some white women who marry Africans and choose to do the whole Ashoke thing. I saw one, she made a kente, that's a Ghanaian fabric, and she made really nice ball gown with that. And the groom also wore kente and made a sort of kaftans-like suit. To it. I've seen people get married in the Indian Sherwani. And so whatever you want, be true to yourself. There shouldn't be any pressure. You're not Queen Victoria. It's not a must to wear white. And even in the church, white, you could only wear white if you're a virgin.
Right.
Really. So it just goes to show, must you wear white if you're not a virgin?
It looks like
you can wear white if you want to. So I already had my daughter before I had my wedding, and she was a guest at my wedding. So I wore a grey dress.
Okay, I get it. All right, now let's talk about growing, especially in the Nigerian either the arts and culture sector, or even like you talked about Nollywood or entertainment. So now because you've actually talked about the activities of the minister, where you said you don't even understand if they know what they should be doing, because if you have places, if you have tourist sites like the Obudukatu Ranch, you have the Tilapia Garden, you have so many tourist centers, but yet we're not able to generate as much as we should. You have the National Art Theatre and all of that, even the stadiums. What exactly are we not doing right, and should we start doing so as to increase the IGR, coming especially from that sector, since we're talking about this?
So first I would say, in terms of people that were given appointments, the people appointed in the know. So Minister of Arts and Culture is a lawyer from the UK. What is their experience with Nigerian culture? The Minister of Tourism is also somebody from, I think she was in tech. I think from the UK as well, or the US. And then she's been put in charge of tourism. What has been done in that sector? Nothing. So if I were in their shoes, first I would do a catalog of the historical tourist sites we have in Nigeria. I would do an excursion around all 36 states, or if maybe for security I'm afraid to do so, every state has a commissioner of art and culture or tourism. So I will lean in on them. So in your state, give me a full list, not just written. I want video reports of all your tourist sites. Then we'll do a collation. Which ones need rehabilitation? What is possible? And then you would arrange events around this tourist site. So every month we could have we have 36 days, so let's say. So we could do 2 events. I mean, if you're the Minister of Tourism, you have no other job anyway. So you can make an event every week in a different tourist site.
Did you say every week?
Yes. What else are you doing?
Probably every December.
No, every December you only have, give or take, 4 years in an administration. So in 4 years, you will not cover all the sites. So every week, you will set an event or an activity in a tourist site in a different destination to create awareness, to create an avenue for people to go there. I recall when I went to Ondo State, and I went there, my capacity with the Unity Project, as I said, promoting intra-tourism. I believe that we should travel more within Nigeria than spending all our money changing to dollars or pounds or euros going somewhere else when there are so many things we can see in our country. So I went to Ondo State, and I've been to a few places. When I went to Ondo State, I went to the Oke-Idore. Even the whole city of Idore is so picturesque. It's so beautiful. It's a city surrounded by hills, and then people that live, built into the hills. There's lots of wildlife and organic foods. The air there is even different. The water there is different. And I saw such a wealth. And I spoke to the commissioner. I said, you have a gold mine. You could build a world-class resort in this place. You already have an airport. All you have to do is provide good pictures, provide good visuals, link yourself with international tour organizers, the same way people arrange tours for people to go to Egypt to see the pyramids. I did that. So it was an organized tour from the UK. We all took a flight. We were put in a hotel. We go on coaches to see the pyramids. And there wasn't even much to see in Egypt, by the way, compared to what we have here in Nigeria. So you can have those sort of arrangements, those sort of engagements, and then people can come from Finland, from Sweden, and come, arrange the whole transportation system to make sure they are guided to Idore. And you have suitable accommodation for them. And they will go back and tell the stories of what they saw. They saw squirrels, they ate bushmeat, they had palm wine, and they had such lovely, cool environment. But it's either they do not appreciate it or the will isn't there. So I feel the appointees are wrong. They don't know what they're doing. This is one way of bringing in money into Nigeria. This is one way of bringing employment into rural communities. Yes, we know some rural communities have issues of insecurity, but what about places that don't? Ogun State has a lot of tourist attractions, Osun State, Oyo State, Southwest. I know that there's relative peace in most of Southwest. So why have we not done anything about it? Why is there no Idore Festival? Why is there no Ikogosi Warm Spring Festival? Why is that not being done? We've seen this king, Oni of Ife, and I'm giving kudos for that. They always organize lots of festivals. There's Ajay Festival. There's this one we go every September. I forgot what it's called now. It has a special hat. I forgot what it's called. Every September we go there. And he brings people from Lagos. Tons of us go. Hundreds of us go. And we spend a lot of money there. So he's able, and he now has a resort there. So we have good accommodation to stay in. And we're able to participate, and we boost the local economy. He creates employment for youths in that community. This is what we should see. But we have people who sit here in Abuja pushing pens and have no understanding of what they're supposed to be doing. It's sad.
It's sad. It's sad to say the least. All right, even as we begin to round up, would have you talk to us in your own indigenous language? That's the Yoruba-Brazilian language. But before we go there, let's talk about the recent visit of the dark. Oh, okay. Let me just see the recent visit of Prince Harry and Meghan to Nigeria. That has actually brought that in fact brought quite a lot of hue and cry, both from Nigeria and abroad internationally. What are your thoughts in this regard?
Okay, so Prince Harry, I think, is remiss. I think Meghan is remiss. You don't marry into a family and criticize your family. Racism exists. I was born and I went to most of my school in the UK. Racism is a thing, and that's why Africans must develop their own countries, their own continent. Nigerians must develop their own country so that we don't have to be second-class citizens elsewhere. So Harry marrying Meghan was a problem because racism exists. It's the British royal family. They want to keep the blue blood. It's bad enough you're marrying somebody who is not royal. You're marrying somebody who's partly African. Criticize all you want. It is what it is. There are families, even in Nigeria, of certain tribes who would say, no way would anybody in my family marry an Igbo person, or would marry somebody from another tribe or another state. So it is the tradition, and I'm all for preserving tradition. Because even in the Bible, God told the children of Israel, don't marry certain tribes. Keep your blood pure. So
okay, I'll let you go ahead.
So the issue of Meghan and Harry and coming to Nigeria, it wasn't about coming to Nigeria. It's just the fact that Meghan has criticized the British royal family, and you cannot do such things and get away with it. And Meghan and Harry, with their charity, are now looking for some form of validation.
Is that what you see there?
Yes, it is what it is. They're looking for relevance. They've attacked the British royal family. They've attacked everything British. And so they have to find alternative means of relevance as royals. And they didn't think it through. You were busy criticizing the royal family, and now you want to be treated as royalty. And you can't go back to the UK and be a royal. So you have to go to third world nations where they will still see you as a royal. And that's why they came here. So the attack.
So I saw that visit as trying to seek.
Oh, no, I do appreciate what they're doing now, but I'm saying maybe they should have done that 3 years ago, 4 years ago, instead of taking on the Queen and the royal family. It's a bit late.
Oh.
You cannot come, slap me in the face, and then a year later come and offer me ice cream. I would always remember you slapped me in the face.
Even though better late than never?
No, it doesn't work like that. People, memories are not wiped out. So I think they should have thought it through. When Meghan was looking for relevance, she should have thought it through than criticizing the Queen. The Queen is an icon in the British generally worship her. She had been the icon of British monarchy, British sovereignty for over 60 years. Her face is still on the pound sterling, even though she's died over a year now. I think it's going on the second year. So you cannot criticize such an institution and get away with it. Princess Diana tried to tarnish the image of the royal family, and look at how she ended up. So Meghan should have thought better, and she shouldn't have led Harry astray. But, that's their culture. Let's not lose sight of that. So the bad press their visit got to Nigeria was not about Nigeria. It was about them. It was about the press that was sponsored against them to tear them down.
And it wasn't about calling Nigerian names, lawless, FGM.
Okay, so generally, when you Google about Nigeria, not much positivities are known. I remember when I wanted to come back to Nigeria, most members of my family called me and said, don't go to Nigeria. Don't go to Nigeria with a child. They kill people there. I'm like, no, see, that's why I said we must tell more of our stories. If you listen to most of the news, it's always about kidnappings and headsmen and Boko Haram. We don't tell enough positive stories. So the bad press is what we get. And if you and I are not living in Abuja, someone else outside just listening to the news will think there's blood flowing on the streets every day.
Right.
So it's always about the bad press. which is what Nigeria has gotten so far. And we should do more. And I say this, and I've said this to as many people that will listen, that we need better PR in Nigeria. Mr. President needs to employ better people handling Nigeria's media. Nigeria has been projected as such a dark place for so long. And we need to do better. We need to change the narrative. We need to tell our stories that this is a peaceful nation. This is a prosperous nation. Yes, we have our problems, but everybody has their own problems. The US, there are people being killed every day. There are lots of homeless people and things are not going right there, but they don't project that in their movies. They don't project that in their news. It's only when you go there, you'll be like, really? And recently somebody sent me some videos about the UK and said, oh, doesn't London look so nice? I said, well, it looks so nice if I was in there just a month ago. It doesn't look like this in reality. Forget that PR. So you can't bamboozle me with pictures. I lived there most of my life. But this is it. So we need to tell better stories about our country. So Harry, Meghan, they came to Nigeria for publicity. They got it. I always say there's no bad press. Good or bad, people talked about them. That's what they needed. And that's what they got.
Okay. All right. I was going to ask you, if, for instance, your daughter comes to you and tell you that, okay, I want to marry an Igbo man or an Hausa man or someone away from my tribe, what would be your first reaction?
Okay, so because my organization is called the Unity Project Nigeria, and I promote a one Nigeria identity. So as long as you're Nigerian, be you Bagi, be you Idoma, be you Efik, be you Igbo, be you Fulani, so far you're Nigerian, you're my brother, you're my sister, that's okay. I also didn't marry within my tribe.
Okay.
So I am open to that.
Okay.
I'm actually open. Even if she was going to bring somebody from Russia, it wouldn't matter to me.
Oh, great. Okay. All right.
I'm not tribalistic. I believe in one Nigeria.
Okay, that's actually good to note. All right, we'd like you to talk to parents at this moment, because you have parents who would actually say, oh no, you cannot marry that Yamre boy, or you cannot marry that Ofemanu, that's the Yoruba people, or that Ugwausa. You have to marry, we have to preserve our culture. We can't move away from this clan. We'd like you to speak to such people, because we've seen how much this has actually done more harm than good.
So I would say when it comes to marriage, it takes two people. Are they compatible? Do they have the same life goals? Are they going the same routes? That's what matters. And when it comes to love and understanding, it has nothing to do with languages. I have seen successful marriages between Africans and Asians, totally different continents, not even in the same nation, working out. So parents should instill in their children good values, teach them how to be supportive and positive spouses. And they should be open to that. In my family, I have sister-in-laws from Brazil. I have an African-American sister-in-law. I have a German sister-in-law. So, and we're all one happy family. So when you see our family portrait, there are lots of mixed race children with curly hair. It's okay. We're family. We love them. And I feel people should not stand in the way of their children's happiness. I have a friend who's suffered. She's she's about my age, and she's not married today because everyone she brings home, her mother rejects. And her mother says she was married from her tribe. I said, well, you will hit menopause pleasing your mother one day until you take some sense and do right by yourself. So we shouldn't stand in the way of our children's happiness. So far, the person they're bringing is from a good background, because background matters. It's not so much culture. There are bad people in every tribe anyway. But how is that person raised? What values are they bringing? Are they going to be addition to your family, a positive to your family? That's what we should focus on, not if he's Igbo or Hausa or Efik or Idoma or Bagi or Fulani. That's what we should consider. Happiness, compatibility. That's what we should consider.
All right, so now even as we begin to round up, let's, because I said you're going to speak your local dialect, and then you're also going to speak a Pidgin. So we'll start with Pidgin first. We'd like you to tell Nigerians, our viewers at home, whether in Nigeria, in Niger, in Benin, wherever they're watching us or whatever device they're watching us from, you speak to them in Pidgin, why they should keep watching Kaftan television and why you love Kaftan television. And then you're actually going to talk to us in your local dialect. Talk to Nigerians on why they should embrace peace. And no matter what you do, remember home. That nowhere is like home. Where the grass is only greener when you wake up to water it.
My people, now here we dey Obodo Abuja for Kaftan television. My name na Jenifer Serrano, and I dey call una wherever una dey, make una dey watch Kaftan television. Kaftan television na the ogbonge TV station where they bring you better program for Nigeria. For here, we know they talk lie una, so true. So stay with Kaftan television.
I was trying to actually wondering where Ogbonge came from. All right, speak to us in your local dialect.
Mo kí yín o, ẹ̀yin ọmọ káàárọ̀ oòjíire, gbogbo ẹ̀yin ọmọ Nàìjíríà, nílé, lóko, lẹ́yìn odi. Èmi ni àbúrò yín Jenifer Àjọkẹ́ Serrano, ọmọ wọn ní ìsàlẹ̀ Èkó, particularly èmi láti campus. Èmi ni mo bá yín sọ̀rọ̀ ẹ̀yin tèmi o. Níbikíbi tí ẹ bá wà, ẹ̀yin ọmọ Nàìjíríà, mo fẹ́ kẹ́ ẹ rántí wípé a gbọ́dọ̀ ṣera wa lọ́kan. Ilé ni àpadàbọ̀ oko. Níbikíbi tí ẹ bá wà, ní ohun gbogbo tí ẹ bá ṣe, kẹ́ ẹ rántí wípé ká ṣera wa ní òṣùṣù ọwọ̀. Torí pé òṣùṣù ọwọ̀ kò ní ṣe é fọ́ká. Ẹ jẹ́ ká ṣera wa ní ọ̀kan. Ẹ jẹ́ ká fi ìfẹ́ ká fi bára wa lò. Ká dẹ̀ máa gbé orúkọ Nàìjíríà lárugẹ níbi gbogbo, ní ìgbà gbogbo. Ire o.
Ire o. I like the part where you said, jẹ́ ká gbé Nigeria lárugẹ. I like that part. It always hits differently. Thank you so much, Jenifer Serrano. Who would have actually believed that all of this is inside all the accents that you brought or you started with? Don't you just love what you listen to right now? Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's been a beautiful time.
Great. All right, viewers, that's where we end this conversation for today. I'm sure you must have been rightly educated, entertained, and informed. Most definitely, this is what we do, and this is what we bring you every time you tune to Kaftan Television, especially when you're watching The Conversation. I'll see you again next time. Keep watching The Conversation because you never know who my next guest will be or what I will be speaking of next. My name is Annabelle Oji. God bless you and yours, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Good
Amen.
morning.